Thoughtful Tuesdays is how I would call it on Karishma Connect this week as we begin to bring you new episodes every Tuesday, every week. On this episode, I have got Rashmi Kotriwala speaking to me. Now, she has 12 years of experience in the acting industry. She started at the age of 10. She co founded her own entertainment venue here with a bunch of other passionate artists. And today, she's teaching acting at Enact. She tells me more about that journey, about the process, about stage acting versus screen acting, what's in the industry for budding actors, what they need to keep in mind, why Dubai is the place to be today, how has the art scene evolved here, and a whole lot more. So go check out this episode. She might be 50, but she's so young at heart and she has so much of passion to share, which I'm sure you're going to love because I loved it. Until the next one, stay tuned. This is Karishma. I'll be back with another episode next Tuesday. Ta-da. Thank you so much, Rashmi ji, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. It's a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to share your journey, especially because I've always had an interest with the uh, aspect of adapting an entirely different character when it comes to acting, and that's something that I've done an acting course in the past, and I really found it very interesting. So you're somebody in the field who's been there for so many years. So I'd like to begin by asking you, tell me about your journey so far.
That's a long one, but I'll try to keep it short. I started acting at the age of 10.
Lovely.
Before that, it was like, chota mota things and whatever, but a proper first full-length production was at age 10. And it was just, I had applied for a particular thing, which, I'm from Calcutta. So they have this annual children's show somewhere.
Mm.
My grandfather saw the letter and he got really upset. हमारे घर की लड़कियां स्टेज पर नहीं जाती हैं, that kind of an attitude.
Mm.
And that was the end of my dreams. Um, but as luck would have it, the person who was playing the main lead in that particular play, the person who was in my class, that girl was in my class school,
Mm.
and the person who was playing her father
Mm.
broke his arm. So
Oh.
she came and she said, we are looking for a replacement. I know you love to act. Would you like to do it? It's a male character. I said, yeah. I mean, and I
Yeah.
had to go pataw my grandmother, who in turn patawed my grandfather, and it was allowed just this once.
Ah.
And that's that. That was the beginning, really. Um, and fast forward 2013, I was in Dubai looking for opportunities. Um, I mean, I did several plays one year after that, and every single time my grandmother would have to pataw my grandfather, but she managed. She always managed. And then 2013, I was in Dubai looking for avenues, and there was this theater festival called Short and Sweet
Yeah.
happening for the first time. I participated as a director at that time because I wasn't getting enough acting opportunities here. It was a 10-minute play, and that went on to win the festival.
Wow.
Uh,
Mm.
so in short, that, and then 2014, we started to think that, there was more success with directing. And 2014, I started to think that I should do more with this. This is my calling. Got a few friends together, and 2015, we opened gates to a venue
Mm.
um, called The Junction
Mm.
in Al Sarkal Avenue. So, and that is one of the cornerstones of the city
Absolutely.
now. I have left the business in last year beginning, but yeah, that 7 years I gave my life to that as well to set it up.
And I think Junction, because I've met Gotham, and going back to the time, because I've been brought up in the region, so I know that the opportunities back then for something like acting were close to none. There used to
Yeah,
be one group I remember even before Junction came. I'm not able to remember the name, but that one man used to run like a theater group and everything. And then Junction came years later, but Junction actually managed to change the narrative and get that kind of impact. How is the scene today?
it's thriving. I feel like there are lot many more theater groups have mushroomed up since
Mm.
2015, because, well, there are that many opportunities to do things, right? Because this is not a commercial space, really. I mean,
Yeah.
theater doesn't make money.
Yeah.
So it is more for the passionate, more for the people who really, they have day jobs, but they want to explore their,
Mm.
talent and this particular aspect.
Mm.
And that's where it is. So a lot of uh, groups mushroomed up. Few, I would say the venues have not kept up. I feel like we should have more venues where, more people can get engaged.
Mm.
But, well, it will happen, I suppose,
Gets
in
there.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Gets there. I was talking to two musical stalwarts in their field. One is Tala Badri from the local scene, and the other is Bindu Subramaniam from India. And I was talking to them about how during the pandemic, any form of creative art, for them it was music, became more than just I need to teach my kid how to do music or I need to teach my
Yeah.
kid, and became a a platform for them to kind of explore themselves and the weaknesses that they were going on. Did you notice something similar with acting as well with your students?
Yeah, I mean, I had to quickly make my classes digitized.
Mm.
Initially, they were signed up for their Trinity exams, and I was like, let's cancel. We had got the option from Trinity to say you can withdraw or whatever.
Mm.
My parents, the children's parents said, no, you take them online. Everything is going online. I said, I don't know how to do acting online, right? I mean, I've done it on stage. How do you let me, I said, let me take one session or two sessions and see if I can manage. Don't have to pay me for it. Let me just see. And, well, I did find that it worked. So, and they did give the exam digitally. I mean, it was a pretty big challenge, but I think it was important to carry on.
Yeah.
What was important was to carry on, because there was very little avenue. You were not socializing, you were not
Mm.
getting out of the house, you were away from everything, so isolated. And I'm glad that we, continued with whatever resources everybody had. I think all creative people were on a high drive, in fact, because you had more time,
Mm.
and you had this window that
Mm.
we have now.
Mm.
So, you pushed yourself to explore further, you pushed yourself to find new avenues for creative outlets, and it was important for our mental well-being, really.
Yeah.
We all would have gone mad otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going to again ask you about, so you use digital to kind of keep going on. Now we are in a time when digital has become, I don't think there are actors anymore. I think everybody has become like that platform has given so much to artists to kind of, how do you be authentic? How do you think that people can be authentic in this kind of a time, especially the younger generation coming in? How can they invest in actually learning? Because it's an art, right? It's
Mhm.
more than just picking up a video, picking up your phone and doing a video or whatever. How can people prioritize that more?
Prioritize learning, you're saying,
Prioritize learning.
physically
Why is
coming
it
in.
so important to not get clouded by the digital spin to it that we have
Huh,
had today?
right. So, see, the thing is, it is important because finally, to sustain it is important for us to educate them that it
Mm.
is important to be able to sustain the character for those 3 hours or 2 hours that you're on stage.
Mm.
Screen acting is also important. Screen acting is easier in that sense. If you learn stage acting,
Mm.
screen acting will happen automatically,
Mm.
right? It's not just about the right angles or whatever. In fact, it has um, a limited range.
Mm.
Screen acting has a limited range where you can perform, and it's
Mm.
easier in
Mm.
that sense. Stage acting is what is the real craft.
Mm.
Once I tell my students, I said, you come, I tell them very clearly, I don't do screen acting specifically. If you're coming here, you will learn everything about acting.
Mm.
Whatever basic, that whatever knowledge I have, I will share with you.
Mm.
However, if you do this, you will be able to do screen acting as well. So
Mm.
it is, then you are able to adapt and adjust to the screen.
Mm.
But you have to learn the entire thing, right?
Mm. Mm.
It's like you can't do algebra if you've not done uh,
Exactly.
addition and subtraction, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. So it is a bifurcation of that
True.
main thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the main thing is important, right? The basics are important.
And how does that experience, because you've been on this since you were 10, how do you think that experience evolves with time and generational changes? How do you as an actor or an artist evolve in terms of what changes?
Oh, that's yeah. So it's very interesting. I feel like acting in theater is nothing short of catharsis.
Mm.
It you evolve as a human being
Mm.
as you do engage more and more into the craft,
Mm.
because every single character, every single teacher, every single director, every single co-actor, you are learning from them.
Mm.
You won't even realize how you grow and evolve.
Mm.
One small comment here and one small feedback here and one small look there will change you, which
Yeah.
happens with life also.
Yeah.
But I mean, the same experience is kind of condensed into the acting experience, and somehow it is a little more focused,
Mm.
because uh, in going through the character or developing a particular character, you actually leave your reality behind, and
Mm.
you are in a space which is away from you. Perhaps it is completely contrasting to your real life,
Mm.
and somehow you become a better human for sure.
Mm.
I mean, you become empathetic, you
Mm.
learn communication skills, you foster friendships, you are you're non-judgmental even for the negative characters. If you are
Mm.
playing one
Yeah.
or shades of
Very
gray,
true. Yeah.
you become non-judgmental, and therefore you are able to empathize with someone who may not be exactly your kind of person as well in real life.
Yeah.
Relationships improve.
Mm.
You always tend to think, I tend to think uh, as the other person more. I mean, somehow I rationalize another person's behavior,
Mm.
and I get that a lot. Like, I'm told that you always rationalize the other person's behavior. They are not doing something right. I said, there may be this. You give the
Yeah.
benefit of doubt much, much more than you would have otherwise.
Yeah.
So I
Very
feel
true.
like it makes you a better human.
Very
That
true.
that's it's a spiritual experience. If you're fully in it, the stories, your own self awareness, the self confidence, the relationships, the thoughts, it just is something else.
Provided done the right way also, no?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. And
And then,
that's why people like us are there, to guide and
yeah,
mentor.
very true. What are the three? Because when I went for that acting course and I went to Anupam Kher's Institute, it was surprising for that 17, 18-year-old me to, because I had seen on-screen acting, right? जो हम फिल्मों में
Hmm.
देखते हैं. And then I went down to this live where we were performing live on ground and everything. And there were so many elements to it. Like there was diction, there was body posture. I want to know from you, because we are in a limited time period for this podcast. It's a plethora. I know it's a plethora, but tell me, what are the three most defining things, according to you, that anybody starting out needs to know or needs to kind of prioritize when it comes to? And by prioritize, I mean like stuff like diction, stuff like
Hmm.
physical alignment. What are those three top starters, according to you?
Huh. Context
Hmm.
of the character.
Hmm.
Uh, Context, I also include subtext in that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so to explain that, it is like to understand really where that character is coming from, that
Hmm.
whole backstory, the background, the why, the
Hmm.
who, what, when, where, why of that character is extremely
Hmm.
important.
Hmm.
To that effect, you have to really understand, learn, and really understand the background of the character. um, two, the motivations,
Mm.
and then of course the vocal physical part,
Mm.
which follows this these two elements. I
Mm.
mean, once you know the backstory and the context, you have to lead, it will lead you to the motivations and the intentions.
Mm.
And then
Then it will lead
the
to.
physical and the vocal will, yeah. So it is your whole self really that you're putting in.
Mm.
The brain, the mind, the body, and the vocals, everything. You're putting your whole self into it really. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
You have to be ready to do anything. And you
Committed.
can't
Yeah,
judge. Abhi
can't
character is
judge.
against you. You can't judge that character.
Exactly. You have to be empathetic. You have to understand why he's doing that.
And a
You have to
huge part
find
of that.
reasons.
But you tell me something, and I'm going a little off track here.
Hmm.
But I've seen people be very spontaneous about it. Like some of them will have this. It'll just be a matter of a second for them. Some people will sit down and take notes and make it and really make it happen. What has worked for you? What's been? Do you have any thoughts to share on that?
It frankly depends on the how challenging the role is.
Mm,
Sometimes it is relatable and
mm,
it comes like this.
mm,
Sometimes it is hard. You have to work on it. You
mm.
have to create that backstory. So it's really different in different situations.
Yeah.
Uh, and also on how much experience you've had
Mm,
with people. See, again, that is another thing.
mm,
You have to meet plethora of different types of people to find your characters.
mm, mm, mm.
A lot of people who are living in a shell or are introverted will find it hard to relate to a lot of characters.
Yeah.
But someone like me, I love meeting people. I
Mm,
love to hear stories. I love to just spend time with people. So I'm very observant about humans. I
mm.
pick on things from there. And very unknowingly, it sometimes will, come out
Influences.
and yeah.
Yeah. Opportunities here work very differently than what it works in other cultural hubs, basically. How do you end up keeping that spirit alive, and how do you navigate that and allow your passion to get on? So, because you have the passion, but it's also important for the platform to be there. So, how do people who are really serious about acting navigate that journey from this part of the world into the main hubs?
I'm glad you asked this question
Mm.
because I feel like, the main excitement or inspiration comes from the fact that in other parts of the world where there's a lot of work happening in this field, you are one in a million
Yeah,
or one in 1,000.
yeah,
Here, because there are only, very small percentage of the population that is indulging in the craft, you are able to make a difference.
yeah,
You are able to stand out.
yeah.
Your If you go with your work to maybe India or Europe or wherever there is a lot of work happening, it may not be significant, so to speak, okay, because it's one in a million, and maybe there is much more infrastructure and much more exposure and much more um, much better quality of work that might be there out there. But here, because there are only so many, you have a particular circle of influence and you are able to showcase and express, and it'll be noticed,
Mm, mm.
and
Right.
you are able to make a difference. Like we created the venue.
Mm,
We it wasn't happening everywhere, right? It still is a story that has happened only in the last one story that has happened in the last 7-10 years.
yeah,
So it is that, therefore everybody knows about it.
yeah.
Everybody knows that, okay, there is this place or there is this person who's associated with it, and it just is something that gives inspiration to people, or to myself also. That's a motivation that I can make a difference to 5 people, 10 people, 20 people out of the 50 people who are there.
Mm. And that's the kind of, I think that's where you get access to pure passion. You get
Yeah,
access to really people who are doing this for passion. And also, I feel that you get so much of diversity to kind of learn from. How do you embrace that kind of diversity then in performance? And what makes it so unique?
diversity in terms of the style of acting or people.
Both, I would say. You can speak from both.
Um, yeah. So, style of acting, because see, for me personally, I do theater in Hindi
Hmm.
and English,
Hmm.
and I understand Bengali. So, in terms of that, I like to indulge in all kinds of and um, various kind of performing arts. I mean, I write poetry. I
Hmm.
published my Hindi poetry book recently. I love music and dance. So I support, whenever there is something which has music, dance also, I try to support and include it. So in that sense, diversity comes in there, different types of performing arts. I love to indulge in photography. So various kinds of things. Um, and I connect very easily with people on the basis of these passions. Different people, but they, as long as they are passionate about an art form, it somehow brings me closer to them, irrespective of the nationality, race, color, whatever. So that's one. Secondly, the type of diversity you're talking about. So styles also. I mean, sometimes you do street theater, sometimes you do um, a proper musical kind of a thing. I'm not expert at a musical theater, but having said that, I don't mind being part of it. So various, you do it in different ways, and sometimes you do production, sometimes you do directing, sometimes you're acting, but you're part of a variety of things. I think that's about it. This place offers you that opportunity to explore
Okay. Yeah. And different cultures also then join in
different
and make
cultures.
that. Yeah. My last question to you is tell me what is that one thing that upcoming and aspiring actors must keep in mind? I think you've already answered it, but just in a sunshape, what do you think they must be looking at?
Just keep doing things,
Mm,
just keep exploring yourselves, and I think learning from different people. Don't get stuck to like one thing.
mm,
I tell my students, I said, you do a course with me, but that is not the end of it. Go do another course, or get directed by another person. Find out, because each person comes with a different set of experiences. So the amount you learn working with different groups, different directors, different teachers, different mentors, you'll learn something every single time, and you'll keep growing. So don't limit yourself. Like the there's so much out there. Just go and explore. That's the only thing I'd say. Keep Never shut the window to learning. I still love to learn. I love to go for workshops. I still love to get directed by different people so that I get different ideas.
And that's what's brought you here. I'm going to add one more question. I want to ask you. You might find this hard. Tell me, what's that one emotion that is most difficult to bring out on stage?
Personally, for me, it is comedy. I find it hard. Maybe the timing. I don't know. I mean, or maybe I'm thinking this. I
Mm.
haven't done too much of comedy, um, but I love comedy, and but I find it easier to cry and to bring out the emotional side of the character more than the comedy side, and that's
But many say that, I think. हम लोग सोचते हैं that it's very easy on screen, but I think to be able to do that, the timing aspect plays a huge role in comedy as
very, very good. You need a good director, and you need yourself. Comic timing is something I feel that it is a little bit inborn.
well. Very
It's
true.
not everybody's cup of tea.
Very true. Thank you so much, Rashmi. It's been a pleasure.
Thank
I've got to learn so much from this conversation. I'm sure people will as well, and I look forward to sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karishma, for having me here. I've really enjoyed talking. I love to talk about this so much.
I can
So much
feel
has
it.
happened in the last so many years
Yeah.
that there's so much to share and talk about. This is good for this.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.